Welcome back to Aliyah and Chill. I'm your host, and today we're exploring the uniquely Israeli experience of being hospitalized, where excellent medical care comes with a side of family drama, dietary debates, and the gradual realization that your hospital room has become a community center. Fair warning, this episode contains themes of medical oversharing, aggressive caring, and the discovery that Israeli hospitals operate more like extended family gatherings than sterile medical institutions. So there I was, a new Ole Chadash, experiencing my first Israeli medical emergency. I'd come down with what my American brain immediately diagnosed as serious illness requiring immediate professional attention, but which my Israeli neighbor Miriam dismissed as a little cold, drink tea with honey. Spoiler alert, Miriam was right, but by the time I figured that out, I was already deep in the Israeli healthcare experience. My first culture shock came at the emergency room intake. In America, hospitals feel like sterile, quiet temples of medical efficiency. Israeli hospitals feel like community centers that happen to have excellent medical equipment. Name? Asked the intake nurse. David Cohen. Which David Cohen? We have 17 David Cohens today. The American one? We have 4 American David Cohens. When were you born? 1985? We have 2 1985 American David Cohens. What's your mother's name? This questioning continued until they'd essentially compiled my family genealogy back to the shtetl. Apparently in Israel, medical identification requires the same precision as tracking down war criminals. The waiting room was an education in Israeli social dynamics. Within 5 minutes of sitting down, I knew. The medical history of the woman to my left, gallbladder, very successful surgery. The family drama of the man to my right, son never calls ungrateful. The political opinions of everyone within earshot, varied, passionate, loudly expressed. Detailed reviews of every doctor in the hospital. Doctor Goldstein, excellent with hearts, terrible with patients. You look terrible, announced an elderly woman I'd never met. What's wrong with you? I think I have the flu. Flu, in summer, impossible. It's allergies or stress. Are you married? No, but that's the problem. Unmarried men don't take care of themselves. My daughter's single, very nice girl, works in high tech. I was getting medical advice and dating suggestions simultaneously. When I was finally called in, the doctor's directness was refreshing and terrifying. You're not dying, Dr. Levy announced after a 5-minute examination. Are you sure? I feel really... You have a cold. Drink fluids, rest, stop being dramatic. But the fever... 38.2 degrees. In Israel, we call that slightly warm. You want real fever? Come back at 40 degrees. Should I take antibiotics? For a cold? What do you think antibiotics are, magic candy? Your body knows how to fight viruses. Help it or get out of the way. I was learning that Israeli medical bedside manner prioritizes truth over comfort. Despite Dr. Levy's diagnosis, my symptoms worsened overnight, and I found myself admitted for observation. This is where the real cultural education began. Israeli hospital visiting hours are apparently a suggestion rather than a rule. Within an hour of my admission, my hospital room had become Grand Central Station. Word had somehow spread through the American Olim network, my synagogue, my Hebrew class, and what appeared to be the entire population of my apartment building. Who are all these people? I asked my roommate Shlomo. Your visitors. Very popular guy. But I've only lived here 6 months. Doesn't matter. You're in hospital, you're part of community now. Community takes care of sick people. The visiting protocol was unlike anything I'd experienced. In American hospitals, visitors whisper, tiptoe around, and leave after 20 polite minutes. Israeli visitors arrived like they were moving in permanently. Mrs. Goldstein from my building brought a week's worth of homemade soup. Hospital food is terrible. You'll waste away. Yoni from my Ulpan class brought his entire extended family. They wanted to meet the American who got sick. My Hebrew teacher arrived with homework. Just because you're in hospital doesn't mean you stop learning. The rabbi's wife brought cookies and theological comfort. Sometimes illness is God's way of slowing us down to appreciate life. The food situation became a diplomatic crisis. The hospital provided perfectly adequate meals, but apparently this was unacceptable to my self-appointed care committee. Different visitors brought competing food offerings. Moroccan soup from the Sephardic lady down the hall, Ashkenazi chicken soup from the Polish grandmother next door, Yemenite spice tea from my neighbor's mother-in-law, American comfort food from the fellow Oli Support Network, vegan everything from the health-conscious millennials. My bedside table looked like a United Nations food summit, and I was expected to taste everything while providing detailed feedback on preparation methods and family recipes. The medical staff treated this visitor chaos with practiced patience. "Visiting hours ended 2 hours ago," noted the nurse. "But we're family," protested someone I'd met exactly once. "Everyone is family in Israel," she replied philosophically. "But family should let patient rest." "Just 5 more minutes." "You said that an hour ago." This negotiation continued throughout my stay, with visitors treating hospital rules like opening bids in a complex negotiation. The roommate situation was its own cultural immersion. Shlomo, my 70-year-old roommate, had been in the hospital for a week and had essentially established a satellite office. He conducted business calls, hosted family meetings, and provided running commentary on my medical condition to anyone who would listen. "The American is much better today," he'd announced to his visitors. "Color is good, appetite returning. Very promising progress." "How do you know about my progress?" "I watch. I'm expert in hospital recovery. This is my 6th time here." "6th time? Heart, kidney, gallbladder, broken leg, pneumonia, and now prostate. I know all the doctors, all the nurses, best visiting hours, which cafeteria food to avoid. Very experienced patient." The language barriers created their own comedy. My Hebrew was functional for daily life, but apparently inadequate for medical discussions. This led to creative communication solutions. Nurse: "Ata margish tov hayom?" "Do you feel good today?" Me: "Ken, low, maybe. I feel medium." Doctor: "Complex medical explanation in rapid Hebrew?" Me: "Can you repeat that in slower Hebrew? Or possibly English? Or charades?" My visitors became translators, though their translations often included editorial commentary. Doctor: "Medical instructions in Hebrew. Mrs. Goldstein: he says you need to drink more water and stop being such a baby about taking medicine." Me: "Did he actually say that second part?" Mrs. Goldstein: "I'm paraphrasing, but the sentiment is there. The discharge process was like a graduation ceremony. The medical staff needed to complete official procedures, but my visitor committee had their own checkout requirements." Medical staff: "Patient is stable and ready for discharge." Visitor committee: "But did you check his temperature again? What about his appetite? Has he been drinking enough fluids? Are you sure he's ready? Maybe one more day of observation?" I found myself in the bizarre position of convincing my volunteer caregivers that I was healthy enough to leave the hospital. The post-hospital care plan was organized with military precision by people who had appointed themselves as my recovery committee. Meal schedule: different families assigned to provide food for 2 weeks. Check-in rotation: neighbors would visit daily to ensure proper recovery. Transportation assistance: multiple offers for rides to follow up appointments. Medication monitoring: at least 3 people would remind me to take medicine. Activity restrictions: community enforcement of doctor's orders. "This is too much," I protested. "I can take care of myself." "Nonsense," declared Miriam. "You're a new immigrant. You have no family here. We are your family now." That's all for today's episode of Aliyah and Chill. Remember, Being hospitalized in Israel teaches you that excellent medical care comes with a built-in community support system that you never asked for but definitely needed. And hey, if the thought of having 47 new family members monitoring your recovery sounds overwhelming, maybe it's time to call Easy Aliyah's VIP concierge service. We'll help you build community connections gradually instead of all at once during a medical emergency. Until next time, stay healthy, drink your tea with honey, and remember, in Israel, getting sick is a community event that ends with lifelong friendships.